Welcome back to the Listener's Voice segment. I hope you've had a great week. My week's been really busy. It's been exciting, it's been productive. I've continued to create poetry and continue to be inspired by so many people that I speak to and meet. And I am now writing children's books. But just to let you know, my first children's book that I actually wrote was about 39 years ago. It was part of a project at school. The book is called The Farmer and the Potato Men. So I've had this book in my family for many years. So it was originally belonged to my daughter. Well, I sort of loaned it to her actually. It belonged to my daughter. And then my son had it. And then the other day I thought I'll bring the book and bring the book out and read it to my grandson to see how he responds to it. And I read the book to him, and his face just lit up. And he inspired me. His reaction inspired me to actually get the original book published. So it's been exciting, an exciting journey to go through the process of the book being brought to life. So The Farmer and the Potato Men is now ready to go, and I will be pushing the button on it very soon. So I will also keep you updated. Now, just a reminder, the listener's voice segment. This may be the first time you're listening to this segment, and you may be thinking, what is it all about? What's the Thoughts of the Mind podcast about? So the Thoughts of the Mind podcast came from my Thoughts of the Mind series, a selection of poems. And I wanted to have a podcast where I encouraged individuals to express their emotions through words. So that is the mantra for Thoughts of the Mind. So because my poetry is very much interactive and I am inspired by and continue to be inspired by individuals across the globe, I wanted an opportunity, a platform for my listeners to be part of my podcast. So the podcast is Thoughts of the Mind, as I said, and it happens every other week. So in between each episode, I then record the listener's voice segment. And this is where you come in. This is your opportunity to share your thoughts and feelings, maybe comments. These could be comments and suggestions about my episodes that you've listened to, or it may be suggestions of maybe you may want to hear a specific topic or subject matter discussed and explored on the Thoughts of the Mind podcast. So I encourage you to send information in. I will leave the email address again at the end, like I always do, and also put it in the description. So you can feel free at any time to send over some information. It may be a poem even. So the listener's voice segment again this is the second one that I'm recording. And the first listener's voice segment, I read some quotes, affirmations, positive statements, whichever you refer to, want to refer them as, from one of the books in the series of Thoughts of the Mind. So it was a selection of poems for a rainy day. Today, I will be sharing again. I've chosen the selection of poems for children from the series of Thoughts of the Mind to again read some affirmations and positive statements from that book. So for those of you who listened to the first listener's voice segment, you would have heard that I shared a poem with you from Aakash Khurana. So Aakash has sent me a few more poems that I will share with you today, alongside reading from some extracts from my selection of poems for children. So again, Aakash, I thank you very much for sending in your poetry. I always enjoy reading them, but I do enjoy listening to you read them rather than me read them out. But here we go. This is untitled, so I'm going to read it as I received it. His sisters so kind, unlike him, the boy with the mouth that only shout. This day, she cried, after so long, remembered the last time when her parents were gone. But today, because of his brother, whom she loves more than her mother, she feels so bad missing her dad, who called her dove, but she lost that love. She was fine until her brother hit her. Today is unbelievable. She ran away from the slum. Don't realized whether she'll be able to come back again, but she's feeling so much pain. Her brother in search reached the church, found some people hurrying, and he started worrying. Went closer and found her sister lying in the front of the church road, almost dying. A tear came out. He wanted to shout. Found something strange. Looked from a closer range. Was a bouquet of flowers in her hand with a letter band. Written 4 words on it were, "Brother, love you forever." At the moment he missed her more than ever. He started screaming, but realized he was dreaming. Her hand on his face, suddenly jumped from his bed and hugged her tightly, looked at her eyes, asked her never to leave ever, and at last said these 4 words, "Sister, love you forever." So much. Thank you so much for that, Akash. Again, I so appreciate you sending in your poems to be shared on the Listener's Voice segment. So I'm going to go through some of my extracts from the Thoughts of the Mind series and just share with you from a selection of poems for children, which is available on Amazon or directly from myself. And so I'm going to take some extracts in from the book. So the first one is, I'm just going to share some affirmations, some positive statements. The first one is entitled Imagine. So when you imagine, you open up a world of possibilities. So for those of you who know the order of my poetry, with every poem comes a statement or positive affirmation to encourage the readers. And then thereafter is a blank page to write and express your own thoughts and feelings. So in the children's book, the blank page consists of just asking them how they feel after reading the poem. And actually, there is a section for them to create their own poem as well. It could be about anything in that moment. And then they're encouraged to share the poem with me, and I get permission from them to put their poem on my official website, the J Poems website. So the next positive statement, affirmation, is from a poem called The Adventure. So this poem is about an adventure. Children go on an adventure in the park, actually. A group of friends go on an adventure in the park. And the affirmation is, make positive memories. That's quite a nice one. It's always nice to encourage children to make positive memories. We're only children once, aren't we? So, just make those positive memories. The next affirmation is from a poem entitled Just Me. And this is all about a child and looking in the mirror and what do they see. So, and it's just me. So loving yourself is just as important as liking your friends. And again, just another positive affirmation to just remind children that actually, yes, we can love our friends, Yes, we can really, engage and like our friends, but it's so important to love yourself first. It's all about self-love. We have to teach children as young as possible about self-love, definitely. So this next one is entitled Friendships. So it's all about the different types of friendships you can have as a child. And actually we can have these friendships way into our adulthood as well. So the affirmation here, friends should value you as you would value them. So friends should value you as you would value them. So again, I just wanted to send a message to children that actually your friends, you should be treated the way you want to be treated. And actually, when you're valuing your friends, they should value just as much as you value them. So I'm going to read one more affirmation and then I'm going to finish off with Akash's poem, second poem he sent in. So this poem is entitled When I Grow Up, and it's all about what I could be when I grow up. So again, remember all these poems have been inspired by children, these poems. So when I grow up, the affirmation is, you can achieve the impossible. So again, I just wanted to remind children that actually you can achieve the impossible if you put your mind to it. With determination and, courage and focus, you can achieve the impossible. And I say that to my grandchildren. I write about, in books when I dedicate them to my grandchildren. They can and they will achieve the impossible. So if you feel, if you've got positive statements, positive affirmations, and just want to send those in for me to share on the listener's voice segment, please feel free to do so. I always like to, every day is, don't get me wrong, there are ups and downs in life. However, there's going to be those days when you just want to hear something positive. You just want to be around positive energy. And so this is what I'm trying to achieve in terms of anyone reading my books. Although it may bring up some sad emotions, then there's always that positive affirmation there. So I'm going to end with another poem from Aakash Khurana. And this poem is entitled My Life's A. My life's a play, running all the way, from here and there, heading towards nowhere. My life is a lie, I think I can't die. But that day is not so far, when it'll be all bizarre. My life's a dream, just want an ice cream. I can't have it, what? Please, it's too hot. My life's a fun, but it's so dark without a sun. My life's a river, but I can't float, I shiver without a boat. My life's a little with a big mess, and a heart much brittle. My life's not a life worth living. All I am doing is giving excuses. My life's a path so unusual. All those excuses I forgot for a while. What matters is that juvenile whose one thing changed everything, and that was this smile. Again, thank you, Akash, for that. I love reading your poems, and I hope again I've done them justice for you. So, again, just to say, everyone, thank you for listening to the Listener's Voice segment and remembering this is all about you. You expressing your emotions through words, you sharing your thoughts and feelings, your poetry, or anything that you wish to share. If you miss 1 week of the Listener's Voice segment, I will definitely read your information out, whatever you've sent to me, out the following week of the Listener's Voice segment. So again, I'm going to put the information on to the description. I again just remind you that you can send all your information to my email address, which is jpoems jpoems 2020, the number 2020 at gmail.com. So it's jpoems, JAY, poems 2020 at gmail.com. So I look forward to you listening to the next episode, which will be next week of on the Thoughts of the Mind podcast. Thank you for listening and bye.